Before we begin, we want to hear from you. Have you ever had to take a stand against someone you love? Have you ever felt the need to step away to protect your own emotional health? Share your experience in the comments. Like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss exclusive stories, shocking revelations, and behind-the-scenes insights that almost no one dares to show. Turn on notifications to get everything first. For decades, the world believed in a perfect image. A football legend whose incredible career inspired millions. A fashion icon who turned style into power, elegance, and global influence. A flawless family admired around the world, seemingly living a modern fairy tale. But today, that image is starting to crack. And this isn't just a minor family disagreement or celebrity gossip. Brooklyn Beckham, the eldest son of David and Victoria Beckham, has finally broken his silence. And what he revealed shocked fans, journalists, and even followers of the family. This isn't just a family dispute. This is a public rupture exposing secrets no one expected, and possibly a point of no return in his relationship with his parents. David Beckham, a global football icon whose talent on the field and presence off it made him nearly untouchable. Victoria Beckham, a former pop star who reinvented herself as a fashion mogul, creating a global brand respected by millions. Together, they built an empire. Fame, wealth, influence, and to the public, a perfect family. But according to Brooklyn, none of that was entirely real. To outsiders, the Beckhams were the model of family unity. Always smiling children, ready for photos. Flawless public events, perfectly coordinated outfits, hands held, smiles posed. A carefully staged fairy tale. Behind the cameras, however, the reality was very different. Constant pressure, invisible rules, and high expectations shaped Brooklyn's life in ways he could never ignore. Brooklyn Beckham was born into the spotlight in 1999. He never chose fame. Fame was chosen for him, imposed from birth like a product ready for public consumption. From a very young age, he learned one rule above all: protect the family image at all costs. No public conflicts, no disagreements, no truths that could damage the Beckham brand. For years, Brooklyn stayed silent, but the pressure built up and one day it exploded. "I don't want to reconcile with my family," he wrote. "I'm defending myself for the first time in my life." That sentence changed everything. It was the beginning of a series of revelations no one expected, shaking the public perception of one of the world's most admired families. Brooklyn describes growing up under constant control. Not just simple rules, but quiet emotional pressure that shaped his personality from childhood. Every decision was monitored. Every mistake magnified and judged. Every choice questioned and criticized, often subtly, but consistently. According to him, this environment created crushing anxiety. An anxiety that followed him through his teens and into adulthood, affecting relationships, studies, and even his sense of identity. Then something changed. When he distanced himself from his family, the pressure eased. The anxiety disappeared, giving him space to breathe and discover himself as an individual. For the first time, he felt calm, free, at peace with himself, away from the constant judgment that had trapped him. He could finally make decisions for himself without worrying about camera flashes or the approval of millions of people. Brooklyn accuses his parents of turning the family into a brand, a carefully constructed product. Every gesture, every smile, every photo was planned to impress the public. According to him, family love was measured by social media. How many posts appeared, who got to the photos faster, who received public praise. "The love of my family," he said, "is decided by the number of posts online." Behind the scenes, he claims these family relationships felt empty, manufactured, without authenticity, a perfect show for the public, but far from the reality of those living inside it. He describes family gatherings where nobody talked about feelings, discussions about careers or personal choices were silenced, and the priority was always, how will this look to the fans? Brooklyn's relationship with Nicola Peltz marked a turning point in his life. With her, he felt protected, respected, and understood. But this relationship also intensified tensions with his parents. Weeks before the wedding, Brooklyn says he was pressured repeatedly to give up rights over his own name, something that would directly affect his financial and personal future. A legal agreement that would impact not only him, but his wife and even his future children. His parents insisted he sign it before the wedding, so it would take effect immediately. Brooklyn refused, and from that moment, everything changed. Relationships that were already fragile broke completely. After Brooklyn refused to comply with his family's demands, everything changed. The support he had once counted on vanished almost overnight. Conversations that used to feel natural became tense. Warmth was replaced by coldness. He felt isolated in spaces that had once been familiar. Every word he spoke, every decision he made, seemed to be measured against invisible rules. Praise and approval were no longer given freely. They came with conditions. Comply with the family's expectations, and you might feel warmth for a moment. Resist, and rejection followed immediately. It felt like love was a contract, Brooklyn said. You had to do exactly what was expected, or you were cast aside. Family dinners became uncomfortable. Private calls and messages that once carried encouragement were now distant and sparse. He questioned whether his family truly cared about him as a person. This conditional love affected his mental health deeply. Anxiety and self-doubt resurfaced. Every decision carried the risk of judgment or disapproval. Even celebrating his own happiness could provoke coldness. It wasn't just emotional distance. It affected his personal relationships. He constantly had to choose between family loyalty and personal happiness. He realized he could no longer rely on his parents for love that was genuine and free. In this chapter of his life, Brooklyn had a painful awakening. The family dynamic he believed in, a loving, supportive unit, was actually controlled by rules and expectations. Love was no longer love, he said. It was a scorecard, and I was always losing if I tried to be myself. This realization marked a turning point. He understood that stepping away might be the only way to protect his emotional health, and that true happiness could exist outside the family's carefully curated public image. Victoria Beckham became the main target of Brooklyn's criticism. He claims that during the wedding preparations, his mother even called him mean. But the most disturbing moment, according to Brooklyn, happened during the wedding itself. The first dance, a moment meant to celebrate him and Nicola, was interrupted by Victoria. She took the spotlight, performing gestures that were inappropriate and humiliating in front of their guests. Brooklyn says he had never felt so uncomfortable in his life. The joy of that day, which should have been private and intimate, was overshadowed by tension and control. He recalls the constant scrutiny of his every move. Every glance, every step, every word was measured and judged. Even moments that should have been filled with happiness were tainted by anxiety. Brooklyn felt that instead of celebrating his own milestone, he was performing for approval that never came. The experience left a lasting mark, showing him how far his family would go to maintain appearances. David Beckham also came under scrutiny. Brooklyn recounts traveling to London for his father's birthday, hoping for quality time together. Instead, he was left alone in a hotel for an entire week, feeling ignored and rejected. When David finally agreed to meet, it was only under strict conditions. The meeting happened at a huge party with cameras everywhere and without Nicola. Brooklyn felt this was a deliberate message. Affection had to be conditional, public, and controlled. He describes the encounter as a real slap in the face. A moment that should have strengthened their bond instead reinforced distance and disappointment. Every attempt at connection seemed orchestrated, with rules and expectations that made him feel like a guest rather than a son. The rejection deepened his understanding that unconditional support from his parents might never exist. After Brooklyn spoke out, the backlash intensified. Attacks came not only from his parents, but also from the press and social media. He says even his siblings were encouraged to criticize him online. The family dynamic became unbearable. Earlier this year, Brooklyn blocked his entire family from his social media. The break was total, leaving no room for reconciliation at that moment. Public appearances no longer held the same meaning. Family events became spaces of tension and unspoken conflict. Brooklyn realized that stepping away was the only way to regain his own voice and identity. The isolation, though painful, gave him clarity. He understood that protecting his emotional health required distance, even if it meant severing ties temporarily. This period marked a complete rupture, a point of no return in his relationship with the family. Brooklyn strongly denies any claims that Nicola controls him. In fact, he says the opposite is true. With her, he discovered what emotional security really feels like. The anxiety he carried for years began to fade, replaced by freedom, confidence, and genuine love. He describes a relationship built on trust and mutual respect. For the first time, he could make decisions without fear of judgment or public scrutiny. Every choice felt supported, not criticized. He could laugh, relax, and simply be himself. Nicola provided a safe space where Brooklyn could heal from the pressures of his past. She became his anchor, offering understanding in contrast to the tension he experienced within his family. Through her support, he learned that love doesn't have to be conditional. It doesn't have to be measured by appearances or approval. Now, Brooklyn wants only 3 things: peace, privacy, and true happiness. He is determined to protect himself and his personal life, away from public interference and family expectations. This chapter of his life represents growth, self-discovery, and the beginning of a future built on his own terms. The Beckham family was sold to the public as perfect, but Brooklyn's story reveals a different reality. Behind the smiles, there can be pain. Behind the brand, there are real people. And behind the fame, sometimes there's a deep silence. His experience reminds us that public image is not the same as private truth. Even families admired around the world can face struggles that remain hidden from view. Speaking out may bring criticism, but can also bring freedom. Brooklyn's decision to share his story shows the courage it takes to prioritize emotional health over appearances. In the end, fame and wealth cannot replace genuine connection and unconditional love. Sometimes stepping away is the only way to protect yourself. Sometimes, the only path to true happiness is finding it on your own terms. Now I want to hear from you. Did Brooklyn do the right thing by speaking out? Can fame destroy families? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Here, we tell the stories that others are too afraid to reveal.